This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
I'm excited, not for a potential war, but to help protect the nation that we live in.
The future faces of the armed forces here on the Suncoast. President Trump campaigned on strengthening our military, and we may need it as military tensions abroad continue to intensify. Are the number of young men and women enlisting on the rise, and what is motivating them to protect and serve our nation? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on who's enlisting and why coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in Sarasota, where the school board is meeting to decide whether or not to ban smoking at all public schools. For more on what is going on, let's go to ABC7's Rick Adams, who is live at the meeting. Rick.
Yeah, Alan, the meeting is going on currently. It started about a half hour ago. An initial vote on changes to the current smoking policy, that'll take place here this evening. Currently, schools in Sarasota County do allow smoking in designated areas for its employees and visitors. Revisions to the policy would ban smoking on all school campuses in the Sarasota County School District. This ban would also include electronic cigarettes.
It was very frustrating for me, even before I got on the school board, that the school districts weren't smoke-free. And they were saying, well, we've got designated smoking areas. It's in the teacher's contract. But we worked on that. We worked with our teachers union, and we took it out of the contract this year, because I think everybody knows that smoking is not good for your health.
And if this does pass here tonight, a final vote on this will take place in 30 days. And we'll have more on this story coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. Reporting live from Sarasota, I'm Rick Adams. Alan, back to you.
Thanks, Rick. Some terrifying moments at a Manatee County school this morning after a teenager threatened to shoot students and staff. Manatee County Sheriff's deputies were called to King Middle School after a 13-year-old girl left a note on a voicemail on the school's answering machine, making the threat. 3 hours after the call, the school was put into lockdown and parents were notified by a robocall. Deputies found the teen who made the threat at her home and arrested her. She is not a student at King Middle School, and deputies say there was no evidence she had the ability to carry out the threat. Manatee County is the epicenter of the heroin epidemic in Florida, with the highest number of per capita overdose deaths. Today, organizations from across the community are discussing what to do. In just the first 3 months of 2017, there have been 276 overdoses in Manatee. 36 were fatal. Representatives from the Sheriff's Office, the Department of Health, and DCF heard from recovering addicts who say it is not just enough to go after the dealers. Several community members recommend declaring a public health emergency to help more addicts get treatment.
Just having available medication-assisted treatment for people that was maybe funded by counties or areas would cut down on overdose and deaths enormously.
Manatee Sheriff Rick Wells says his agency has a zero tolerance for anyone dealing with deadly synthetic forms of heroin, fentanyl, and carfentanil. Sarasota police are asking for the public's help tonight to find a man wanted for armed robbery. Police are releasing these surveillance photos of the suspect. Officers say the man held up a Circle K Shell station on South Tamiami Trail around 3 o'clock Monday morning. He was wearing a black mask and was armed with a handgun. The suspect demanded money from a clerk before fleeing. If you have any information, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers at 366-TIPS. A follow-up on the death of Chance Walsh. Today, a judge sentenced his father to 45 years in prison. Joseph Walsh pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and aggravated child abuse in the death of his seven-week-old son. Investigators say on September 16, 2015, Walsh abused the child and suffocated him by stuffing a baby wipe down his throat. Chance's mother, Kristen Bury Walsh, is already serving 25 years for aggravated manslaughter. Northport's fire department is down 5 members, and the chief says low wages may be to blame for the high turnover. The chief says firefighters and paramedics make more money at larger agencies. Northport's contract with the fire union expires at the end of 2018. Some firefighters are already discussing a renegotiation to increase salaries, but now 7 new first responders are in training to fill the vacancies. They are expected to start later this month. Manatee County is extending its burn ban another week as drought conditions continue to take a toll. The majority of southwest Florida remains under a high risk for wildfires, and firefighters say conditions are getting even worse. Fires outside are banned, including campfires, flares, and fireworks. Anyone violating the ban could be charged with a second-degree misdemeanor and could be liable for any costs incurred by the county responding to the fire.
The smallest little fire that someone goes out and starts, maybe they're burning just some leaves or some brush, and they don't think it's a big deal, but we get this wind, and this wind picks it up and just takes it away, and before you know it, you've got the woods on fire.
Outdoor grilling is still allowed. Sarasota and Charlotte County remain under a burn ban at this time. And Bob, is there any relief out there?
Well, I got to tell you, Ellen, I just checked the website for this, and we had a little bit of rainfall this morning. Some counties picked up some ground, made some ground. In fact, Sarasota, South Sarasota picking up 55 points there, which is good. Considering all numbers are all in the 600s now. If you get to the 800s, it's all over for the most part. That's the highest number you can get. But right now, 630, 640, then not too uncommon here along the Sun Coast. A little bit of rainfall today did help just for a little bit, but tomorrow those numbers will start to go back up again as a result of no rain in sight, at least through Wednesday and most of Thursday. Now, the front itself did bring some rain out ahead of it. Some pretty heavy showers in South Sarasota County earlier, as well as into Charlotte County. But that rain is, for the most part, on the East Coast. This is the outflow boundary, creating a few spotty showers down near Arcadia and into East Manatee and Sarasota counties. One lone shower into Sarasota. You see that little line there kind of sensitized the radar picture to show you that this particular line is an outflow boundary that, again, that you can see a little cold front, if you will, has developed as a result of the earlier storms inland, and that's pushing off to the west. So I would not be surprised to see that kick off 1 or 2 showers before it's all said and done, but the majority of our viewing area will stay dry through this evening. It's 85 degrees right now, not much of a cold front. The dew point is lowered a little bit, and that'll be one thing noticeable tomorrow morning. It'll be about 5 degrees cooler than it has been, so you got to look at the bright side all the time with these weak frontal systems. Ellen, on Friday, a bigger storm comes in. Bigger front, and that's going to produce showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be rather strong. So we have to keep an eye on that on Friday morning.
Feast or famine.
That's right. You could take what we can get, but we don't like the severe weather. You're right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, President Trump is working to strengthen the military. It comes as the nuclear threat from North Korea continues to loom as U.S. forces battle ISIS in Iraq and Afghanistan. Who's enlisting during these uncertain times? We'll show you when we return.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will make a difference in my community.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A contract that weathered Tet. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
When my youngest Addie was 2.5. She was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. Walking in that Light the Night light with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. It's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer gold lanterns. Your lantern will make a difference.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
When things got rough during the Iraq War, military recruiters had a tough time meeting their quotas for young men and women willing to serve the nation in uniform. Now we have a new president and new tensions around the world: Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea. Kate Flexter joins us with what, if any, impact this is having on recruiting.
Well, Alan, the issue goes beyond money to manpower. The question is whether the military can recruit enough men and women to fill out its ranks.
At the Armed Forces Career Center in Sarasota, new recruit Justin Raines reads over his boot camp packing list. And it's a short one. A change of clothes, a driver's license, a toothbrush, just the necessities.
I've been thinking about joining the forces since probably freshman year of high school.
The 19-year-old is about 3 weeks away from heading to boot camp in Oklahoma after enlisting in the U.S. Army.
I really love my family and I value them a lot. And I think the most important thing for me to do is protect them.
New recruit Winchell Pierre took the same pledge.
I am nervous, but I'm excited at the same time.
In a matter of weeks, the 18-year-old will be shipping off to South Carolina for boot camp.
It's finally happening. I didn't give up. I didn't quit.
They're just 2 soldiers of 6,000 the Army is looking to recruit over the next 5 months.
The challenges facing the country never stop.
Spending $300 million on a blitz of bonuses and advertising. It's the largest in-year increase in the history of the Army.
Our next mission could be anything, so we prepare for everything.
And President Trump says he wants an even larger force, as many as 60,000 more soldiers, part of his larger plan to strengthen what he called a hollowed-out military.
You see what we're doing with our military: bigger, better, stronger than ever before.
As tensions rise with Syria following a missile strike, and North Korea, Trump says the need is increasingly urgent. The question is whether it's possible. Sergeant Jeffrey Garner is at ground zero of that mission, working to recruit young people for the Army.
We're always looking, but yes, that has been a little bit of a mission increase for us, and it hasn't been a difficult mission increase, but there has been one.
But he says there are some factors working against them when it comes to recruitment. About 50% of young people report having little to no knowledge of the military, and more than 70% of today's youth don't even qualify for military service.
We have medical standards that you have to meet, and then we also have aptitude standards that you have to meet.
Plus, more than 50% of people who enlisted in the Army and Army Reserve in 2016 all came from these 7 states, one of which is Florida. Not to mention 9 states are increasing minimum wage to a level that's higher than the base pay of a private in the Army, a fact that could make the Army a less attractive career option. In the past, rapid growth of the Army resulted in lower quality recruits. But Garner insists they're looking for highly qualified candidates to fill out their ranks, pitching the Army as a viable and admirable career path rather than an avenue of last resort.
Well, we're always looking for high-quality applicants, and we're always pushing hard.
And whether the goal is 6,000 or 60,000, the Army has at least one new recruit who feels up to the task.
I'm excited. Not for a potential war, but to help protect the nation that we live in.
As for the quality of recruits, it's measured by high school graduation as well as performance on military aptitude tests.
Okay, thank you. Coming up, a military recruiter and a young man choosing to wear the uniform of his country on the trapezoid.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-622-1941. 800-622-1941.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. Are rising tensions around the world having an impact on military recruitment here at home? Last month, President Trump ordered a barrage of missiles on the Syrian airbase after the Assad government used chemical weapons on civilians. Now, the president is saying the U.S. may have to do something about North Korea as the rogue nation continues testing ballistic missiles that might one day be able to reach the west coast of the U.S. Meanwhile, the U.S. continues to support Iraqi forces in the fight for Mosul, and the war in Afghanistan has been going on since 2001. Last year, the Army announced it expected to barely meet its goal of recruiting 62,000 new soldiers. So is this year, are they looking locally? Joining us for more tonight is Sergeant in First Class Jeffrey Garner of the U.S. Army Recruiting Center in Sarasota, and Justin Rains, a U.S. Army recruit who will be going to boot camp in Oklahoma later this month. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is very exciting. But Sergeant, let me start with you because as I mentioned when we set up the story, you know, I remember during the Iraq War, the Army and the other branches of the service were having a tough time meeting its quotas. When did that start to turn around?
You know, I really can't speak on that. I would say that I've been in recruiting now for about 8.5 years, and when I was a recruiter in Michigan, it was a little tougher. But here in Sarasota, there's a great community that supports the military, and I've noticed that it hasn't really had an impact locally on recruiting efforts.
Jeffrey, you said that you first started thinking about joining the military, signing up when you were a freshman in high school?
Correct.
How did that evolve, just for people to know? Because I would imagine, you know, it's one thing to have an interest, you know, yourself. It's another thing to sell it to your parents and
right.
your friends. What kind of thought process did you go through?
Okay, so at first, I kind of backed off from the idea just because I looked at the people that surrounded me, and it's not what they were wanting to do. But I got to thinking, and no matter what I tried to do to kind of make myself happy, I was never happy. So one day I decided to go into the recruiting office because I sat down, thought, and said, the one thing I haven't gone back to is wanting to be in the military. So from the second I stepped into the office, I was just filled with happiness.
Was it always the Army?
No, no. Okay, so I had this friend, she went into the Navy. And at first I was looking for like a Navy recruiting center because I wanted to join her, kind of follow. But the closest recruiting center to me was his office. So I go in looking for a Navy, and there isn't a Navy one around. And they offered to give me information and an application, so I did that.
Location, location, location.
Right.
And you know, if the Navy recruiting station was closer, we may be having a different conversation right now. Let me ask you both this question, because at times like we have now, where there are rising tensions, whether it's in the Middle East or with North Korea, I would imagine it could have two different kinds of impacts. In the aftermath of 9/11, the military had an infusion of people signing up because, for all the obvious reasons, it struck us so personally and so severely. People wanted to defend the nation. But at times like this, when the tensions and the dangers are more spread out, I would imagine that either people, again, will want to serve their nation when they see these potential conflicts, or just take a wait-and-see approach.
I haven't noticed that really at this level. I feel like most people still make the decision to join the military, join the Army, for a lot of the same reasons that they've done for hundreds of years now. You know, service to country, they're patriotic, tradition. They may have family members that have served. You know, the career enhancement, the opportunities for, you know, education, the financial security and stability that the Army provides people. Those are all still really important reasons that people make the decision to join the Army.
And I want to get into all those different reasons in our next block, but first let me ask you, Jeffrey, what role did all these things in terms of help with education play in your joining the Army, or was it, as you said, for other reasons?
It was other reasons, just personal. I really feel like I need to protect my family, and I'm not going to protect my family being at a Fortune 500 company. And the military makes me happy, so I can make myself happy while protecting the people I love.
What do you aspire to as your specialty?
I'm going to be an intelligence analyst.
And what kind of process do you have to go through? You have to be trained just like everybody else in terms of boot camp and so forth?
Yes, yeah. A basic training is going to be exactly the same as like an infantryman or a doctor. But after that, I will be going to Fort Huachuca in Arizona for 17 weeks to specifically train on what my job will entail.
And I called you Jeffrey, it's Justin.
Yes.
I apologize, I transposed the names. We are just getting in started with our conversation. We will pick up the conversation right after we check the weather, so stay with us.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Our discussion of military enlistment on the Suncoast continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We woke up this morning to some clouds and some showers. This one from Anna Maria on the pier there, City Pier. Brian Blaine, who works out there getting this great egret, just looking off in the distance, looking for some food, I'm sure, later on. And my Echo webcam showing also some clouds down again, but not enough rain to really help this drought that we've been in. It's been very excessive. In fact, over a foot below average since October. Now, there have been some showers that have been popping up here and there, but not enough to help matters out. Weather headlines read like this. Another cold front, though, is due to arrive late Thursday and early Friday. With it, we'll bring some much more rain around, but also the potential for some stronger storms. So that'll be in the offing on Friday morning, and then a much cooler weekend. You know, this past weekend was one of the hottest weekends on record for the Suncoast in April, and now we're going to get a below average weekend on both Saturday and Sunday in terms of temperatures. Now, there are a few remaining showers out there, not much. Most of this action will continue to push off to the southwest. So Northport getting some rainfall near Port Charlotte as well. Expect a brief, very light rain shower. The heaviest storms by far well to the east. The cold front is now making its way through South County. There's a little outflow boundary creating a few showers, as I mentioned, through this evening. One lone storm there into southeast Hillsborough County, and we can expect maybe one or two as well into Manatee County this evening, but most areas will stay dry. Rainfall amounts have been oppressive down to our south into Charlotte County. We're talking up to nearly 2.5, 3 inches in some cases just to the east of Englewood, west of Port Charlotte, near Northport, not right at Northport, but over an inch there. And then about 7/10 of an inch of rainfall near Beneva, just to the west of I-75. And then lesser amounts as you push away from there into downtown Sarasota. Just a brief sprinkle earlier today. Well, the thin front moves through, and we'll see just a little drier air to start things off tomorrow morning. 85 degrees currently at this hour, and winds are out of the west-northwest at 9. The pressure is starting to rise again. The high was 87 above average. We'll be into the upper 80s again tomorrow, as we'll see a lot of sunshine around, and also no real threat of any rainfall tomorrow. There's a slight chance for a few scattered late-day storms. That's mainly to our south, from, say, Port Charlotte southward down into Fort Myers. And you'll see that on the RPM forecast model. Tonight, partly cloudy, and then tomorrow, some showers and storms developing along the sea breeze front. That activity moving off into the Gulf of Mexico late in the day. But here comes the next front. And this one is actually depicted a little bit more activity with it, and the potential for some severe weather exists right now as it makes its way through the panhandle of Florida. For us, it looks like some strong cells beginning on into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday. That's what the timing is right now, but that may change as we watch the front make its way to the east and southeast. Temperatures behind the front into the 40s now in places like Detroit, Toronto, Chicago, and 50 now, 52 degrees into Cleveland. Much warmer in Dallas at 87. Well, for boaters, tomorrow looks good. Winds will start out of the southeast, switch around to the southwest, running right around 2 feet as far as the bays and inland waters go. Low tide upcoming, and sunset will be at 8:04. Sunrise at 6:49. Partly cloudy, 67 for your low, so a few degrees cooler. A slight chance for an evening shower. And then tomorrow, look for another nice day. Lots of sunshine, highs in the upper 80s. The extended forecast, though, calling for that increase in clouds on Thursday, turning breezy. A good chance for late night storms Thursday and Friday morning. Some of those could be strong. And then look at your weekend. Looking good, sunshine and cooler. Al will be back with the guests right after this. Stick around.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251. 800-628-1251.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPB.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing U.S. military involvement abroad and enlistment here on the Suncoast. Our guests tonight are Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Garner of the U.S. Army Recruiting Center in Sarasota and Justin Raines, a Army recruit preparing to go to boot camp later this month. Sergeant, let me start with you because one of the interesting things that the Army has said is as our economy improves, it makes your job as a recruiter more difficult, if you could explain.
Sure, it does. It plays an impact because people look to the Army for financial security and stability. It's a career choice. So when there's more career opportunities, people have more to choose from. They might not choose the Army. But locally, I don't see that as much because there seems to be more of a service industry area. So we still have a lot of high school seniors come in regularly looking for an opportunity to leave, get out of this area, and start a career.
The other thing that I found fascinating in a report by the Army, and this is difficult stuff, is that there has been a decline in high school graduation rates and increasing obesity levels among young people, and it's challenging the Army to strategically deal with these changing social issues. How difficult is that for you to deal with?
It plays a role. It's not very difficult, but it does definitely require us to be a little bit smarter about where we go, to talk to people about the Army, and just make sure that we're more strategic about it and that we use certain methods to try to find the quality.
I would imagine that you are sometimes in the position that you have to say no.
Definitely, yeah. There's definitely people that are not qualified to join the Army. We get that quite a bit. People come into the office, they have a lot of issues. You know, there's still a perception out there that the Army is one of those places where you can come and join if you have a lot of problems in your past as far as moral issues, and that's just not the case. We're looking for qualified, quality people to join the Army, to fill the ranks.
And there are things that are fixable, some things that are not.
Right, definitely. You know, some young people, they are, you know, struggling with being overweight and not meeting our height and weight standards. We always give them suggestions, you know, point them in the right direction, show them, you know, where they are and what they need to do to get to where they will meet the standard. And, you know, sometimes we have some success stories where people actually go lose 50, 60 pounds and come back and we put them in the Army.
Right. Justin, what do you hope to get out of this? Obviously, what you want to do is a fascinating area, an interesting area, but in terms of your long-term goals, do you hope to make it a career in the military, or is this a means to an end?
I plan on staying at least 20 years. After my first year, to see how I like it, I'm wanting to go into the Rangers to do something with intel for them. But I don't see the point in doing 4 or 5 years and just dropping out. One, because when you do 20 years, you receive your full pension, and that's for the rest of your life. Me, I'm 19, and if I do 20 years right now, I'm going to be 49 when I retire. And most people cannot say that they retire at 49.
Right. And Sergeant, let me ask you this. What kind of either obstacle or challenge is it for you? Because we are dealing with a lot of men and women who are leaving the military after their deployment in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they hear all the problems about the Veterans Administration and the length of time it takes to get care and their ability to deal with the issues. In some ways, does that work against your job in terms of getting people to come into the military? Do you have to have special discussions with either the young men and women or their families about that?
Sometimes it's a topic that comes up during the discussion. You know, a lot of people are using different, you know, experiences, and Sarasota has an amazing veterans community. It's got a very large veterans community. So my experience has been that that's been a very positive thing, that the majority of those veterans have been able to share their positive experiences with their military service, and it just outweighs the negatives.
We sometimes treat our soldiers and those coming in better than we do in terms of when they leave and the benefits out there, and I know that the government is working very, very hard on that. So what is your next step, and what are you doing over the next month to prepare for this? And what do you think when you turn on the TV or watch the news and you see what is happening either in Syria or North Korea in terms of whether or not eventually that could impact you?
My next step is basically what I'm doing right now currently. Is I'm just working out a lot. Even though I've taken the ASVAB and received a very decent score, I'm still studying because I don't think that knowledge should be lost. I think you should keep studying and learn more as you grow old. And yeah.
And of course, Sergeant, some young men and women don't just join the military because, like Justin, who wants to be in it for 20 years. It is a means to an end in terms of ways to get their education. What benefits are out there, just so people know, because I would imagine in this day and age, especially with the economy the way it was, they do need help if they want to pursue a college degree later.
There's a lot of incentives right now, and some of those come in the form of just cash enlistment bonuses, which are up to $40,000 for certain military occupation specialties. We also have student loan repayments come back, and they can pay up to $65,000 in student loans that have already been obtained through your education on your own. But we also have tuition assistance that gives you $4,000 a year to pay towards school. But if you do 3 years on active duty, this is probably the jaw dropper of education VA benefits that we have right now. If you do 3 years on active duty, you qualify for 100% of the post 9/11 GI Bill, which will pay up to 100% of your tuition costs, paid up to the most expensive public university or college in the state that you return back to. But you also receive a housing allowance while you're a full-time student. And for like this area, it would be around $1,600 a month you would receive to pay for your housing needs while you're a full-time student. Just makes it a lot easier for you to go to school.
You know, currently the president is talking about expanding the military, adding more, you know, both personnel and equipment. The question would become is if you are, you know, in order to increase recruitment, I mean, you can't just make people up. So, A, how do you go about it? And number two, are you concerned that there may be pressures to recruit young men and women, and there is a finite amount of people who might be interested and willing to sign up?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen a mission increase. It's happening. We know it's coming, so we're already starting to prepare for it. There is a finite amount of people that qualify. We're always targeting 17 to 24 years old. That's pretty much our demographic that we're looking for. Those are usually the ones that, you know, are looking for that career enhancement or the opportunities for education. The incentives are there. The opportunities are there. So it makes it a little easier for us when they are opening up so many doors when it comes to the incentives right now.
And Justin, what kind of feedback do you get from your friends? I mean, how many of your friends are considering signing up, whether it's with the Army or the other branches of the service? What kind of, you know, what do you say to them if they ask you about this?
They all support me. I've actually convinced one of my friends to go into the office. She filled out an application, and she's waiting for a job to open up for her, the one that she specifically wants. And then I have another friend, she just joined the Navy. Yeah, everyone, they're really happy with my choice, really proud of me. That's about it, I guess.
And we're proud of you as well, and we wish you the best of luck. Sergeant, right now, in terms of the number, I know you track these things month to month. Have you seen an uptick in terms of, especially during graduation season, in terms of the numbers of people who are interested?
We're coming into a time where, you know, a lot of young people that are getting ready to graduate high school haven't made any future plans, and they're going to start looking for opportunities, and one of those will be the Army. Yeah, okay. Definitely.
Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, so stay with us.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7.
3 candidates vying for 2 seats on Sarasota City Commission. Election day is Tuesday, but early voting is already underway. Tune in as we host a final debate between the candidates on the issues facing the city and their vision for the future of Sarasota. I'm Alan Cohn. Join us for the last chance to see the candidates going head-to-head.
Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right, we will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call for your free author submission kit at 800-425-5308.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. How will the Trump administration impact military enlistment going forward? What can we learn from the men and women who are signing up right now? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. So, Justin, what do you want people to know about why you became interested in enlisting into the military, and whether or not world events are having any impact in terms of your choice?
I personally like to not sit back and watch people do things. I like to do it myself. That way I know it's getting done in a proficient manner. So that's one reason why people like me would want to think about joining the forces. And if you're even questioning it, it does not hurt to go into the office, check it out, and see if it's for you or not. I've seen people come in there before and that same day come back with an application filled out and want to join, but I've also seen other people come in and decide it's not really for them. So it doesn't help to get information.
Right. So, Sergeant, how are you gearing up for what the orders are going to be in terms of increasing the size of our military, and what tools or weapons do you have at your disposal to make that happen?
Well, I'm very lucky to have an amazing group of non-commissioned officers that are in my center. They take their mission very seriously. They work very hard. They're always going to make mission. We're not ones to fail. That's non-commissioned officers never fail. So we're going to do whatever it takes, with integrity and, the highest of standards. And we're going to go out there, and what we like to say sometimes is just beat the streets until we find and talk to as many people as we can that would be interested in possibly joining the Army.
And there are a couple of different tracks even within the Army. I would imagine that some people just want to join the service as an enlisted a person. The other, others want to go towards officer training.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do that as well in our office. We sign people up for officer candidate school. We put them through the process, which is a little bit lengthier than just an enlistment. I encourage anyone who wants to get information about being in the enlisted side or the officer side to come in. It never hurts to get information so you're making an informed decision.
All right, we have to leave it there, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for being here tonight, Sergeant First Class. Jeffrey Gardner is a recruiter at the U.S. Army in Sarasota, and Justin Raines is leaving for boot camp in Oklahoma later this month. We wish you all the luck, and when we return, we'll have an analysis of President Trump's impact on the stock market with ABC business commentator Richard Stewart. Plus, fulfilling the will of voters, the Florida legislature is moving forward with less restrictive rules for medical marijuana. We'll have the details in our primetime headlines.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Welcome back. The stock market surged after President Trump's election and has continued to rise during his presidency, but certain industries continue to struggle, and even a tweet from the president can cause stocks to rise or fall. Where are we seeing the impact the most? Joining us right now is ABC7 business commentator Richard Stern. So, Richard, what industries right now, the economy is doing better, but certain industries are struggling primarily?
Well, there's no question the oil industry is where the biggest problems are. Out of the 30 stocks that make up the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Chevron ranks number 29 and ExxonMobil ranks number 30. They are both year-to-date down in the vicinity of 7 to 8%, while the S&P is up 7 to 8%. So they're clearly going in the wrong direction. And I think there are really two different reasons for it. One of them, frankly, is their sheer cost. It's costing them as much or more to get the oil out of the ground than they can sell it for.
Well, two points there. Number one, we're not seeing any great bargains in terms of gasoline prices right about now.
True.
And number two, the president said the other day he would like to expand offshore drilling. Would that be helpful to either the business that the oil companies are doing or how much we're paying at the pump?
I think it has everything to do with what their actual cost is. The offshore drilling, remember, the capital required to put all that in place, this is a long-term deal. This is not something that's going to turn very, very quickly. It's a supply and demand thing, and certainly right now, the supply is there, the demand is actually down.
And you made an interesting point when we were talking earlier that we're talking about tax reform and tax cuts, cutting the corporate tax, but that wouldn't necessarily help the oil industry.
And I think that's the irony, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand. Now, first of all, we don't know exactly what the tax bill is going to look like, assuming there really is one. But if there were, and if the corporate tax rate were to drop to 15%, oil companies have so many deductions already that their effective tax rate is lower than that. So most companies are going to be beneficiaries of a much lower tax rate. The oil companies won't be beneficiaries at all. And I think that has certainly something to do with their performance.
Another interesting area is the retail industry, which has really been struggling. The big stores like Macy's and other department stores. On the other hand, MasterCard, you told me, is their profits are doing and their earnings are doing incredibly. What is going on there?
Well, I think MasterCard is an example of the consumer feels good, the consumer is spending. They're spending it in a different way, in a different place. All you have to do is look at Amazon. Amazon is up well over 20% so far this year, and I'm just talking since January. The stock is in the neighborhood of $950 a share, an all-time high, on its way to 1,000, many people believe, and where it goes from there, I don't know. But they're spending freely, but they're not spending it at brick-and-mortar stores. They're staying home, sitting in their pajamas, and buying whatever they want.
I wanted to get one other area, consumer confidence. A story just came out that consumer confidence in Florida dropped last month. It is up year to year. But the numbers have gone down from 95.7% down 3.5%. And the author of the study says that it comes that people have unfavorable expectations about the economy in the future here in Florida. Where do you think that's coming from?
I wish I had a good answer for you, Alan. I really don't know the answer to that. I do know that these things swing violently from one month to the next. One month you could see consumer confidence up, the next month down. I don't know that there's anything very specific. I think travel seems to be strong. I think people are spending money while they're traveling. So exactly why this particular report says what it does, I'd love to tell you know the answer. I don't.
Okay, Richard, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Richard Stern is the business commentator for ABC7 News. He joins us every other week for a look at the market. Your primetime headlines are coming up right after this break.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Whether a family member needs a little extra help around the house, assistance recovering from a hospital stay, or someone to check in on them throughout the week, Right at Home's in-home care is the answer. Your loved one deserves the right care, and now we need caregivers to help give the right care for the right reasons, the right way. At Right at Home, we're one of the only private home health agencies in this area with the opportunity to earn paid time off. If you're someone who loves helping people, take a look at our website and click on Jobs to join our team today.
Now for your primetime headlines, a bipartisan deal on a short-term spending plan is now resulting in finger-pointing between Democrats and the White House. Meanwhile, the fight over health care reform is again ramping up. ABC's Janae Norman is in Washington tracking the latest.
Democrats didn't win. President Trump did by out-negotiating them. That's the message from Budget Director Mick Mulvaney about the bipartisan spending bill to keep the government funded through September.
They were desperate to make this administration look like we couldn't function, like we couldn't govern. And we know that a large part of their base, especially their left-wing base, wanted a shutdown and certainly didn't want them to cut a deal with us.
The more than $1 trillion spending measure doesn't include cuts to Planned Parenthood or sanctuary cities, nor does it include funding for the president's proposed border wall or the president's proposed cuts to agencies like the EPA. Still, Mulvaney insists Trump won.
The president delivered on his promises and got his priorities funded. They want you to think they won. What they don't want you to know is the American people won here because the president simply out-negotiated them.
We felt that it was a bipartisan negotiation. As I said, the leaders, Democrat and Republican, House and Senate, work well together, and why ruin that?
And the fixation on scoring a Trump victory isn't over.
How's health care coming, folks? How's it doing? All right, we're moving along.
The president hasn't gotten any major legislative win, but hopes to change that this week with a vote on the GOP's amended plan to repeal and replace Obamacare.
We're excited about this policy. We're making very good progress with our members, and our president has been instrumental in that.
Vice President Pence was on Capitol Hill today meeting with moderate Republicans on health care. House GOP would like to see a vote before Congress leaves town Friday, but they still need more support. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
Remember that video last month of a doctor dragged off an overbooked United flight? Lawmakers are grilling airline executives. United is not the only carrier on the hot seat. American, Southwest, and Alaska Airlines were all present for today's public hearing with the House Transportation Committee. Lawmakers are looking for ways to improve customer experience and hold airlines accountable.
We're here today to look and hear about where we could prod, push, or regulate or legislate to get better service for passengers.
If we don't see meaningful results that improve customer service the next time this committee meets to address the issue, I can assure you, you won't like the outcome.
Lawmakers are being particularly critical of unfair policies, including United making $800 million on change fees, which cost them nothing. New developments in Tallahassee on the efforts to regulate medical marijuana. Today, the House is approving its plan to allow broad access. The measure allows patients with chronic pain related to 10 qualifying conditions to have access. They would be able to get 3 70-day supplies of marijuana at single doctor visits. It also expands the number of treatment centers and allows public use of low THC marijuana. Patients could also eat edible forms of the drug or vape it. Smoking is still banned.
Who are we to tell legitimate patients that they can't smoke their cannabis? That's not our business, members. It's not our business to infringe upon their personal freedoms. It's not our business to infringe on the sacred patient-doctor relationship.
The House version of regulations now goes before the Senate for approval. There have been no major changes to Florida's gambling laws since 2010, and there won't be any again this year. Just days after a deal seemed within reach, Bradenton Senator Bill Galvano, who was leading the negotiations, says there will be no compromise. This means slot machines won't be allowed in 8 counties that voted to have them, and dog tracks will have to continue holding races in order to operate their poker rooms. Lawmakers are compromising on a plan to clean up waterways in South Florida. The state can now spend up to $800 million to speed up construction of a reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee. The goal is to lessen the reoccurrence of toxic green algae that inundated coastal communities last summer. Representatives from those communities are calling on their fellow members to do more.
Continue to address these serious and long-term issues by prioritizing a feature of Everglades restoration that has been planned. It has been part of the goal since the beginning.
The agreement doesn't include Governor Rick Scott's request for $200 million to speed repairs on the Herbert Hoover dike surrounding Lake Okeechobee. The field of candidates continues to grow in Florida's gubernatorial race. Former Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Graham officially announcing today. Graham served 1 term in Congress, choosing not to seek re-election after new congressional maps made her district firmly Republican. Her father is former Florida Governor Bob Graham. Orlando businessman Chris King and Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum are also seeking the Democratic nomination. And we want to make a correction on the story at the top of our show. We said that Kristen Bury, the mother of deceased infant Chance Walsh, is in prison. She actually committed suicide in jail back in September. We regret that error. And that is all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.